So let's continue our walkthrough of chapter 3.1. So in this chapter we'll be exploring interactive GIS and creating map layouts and using custom map layout and using a custom map template, adding reports and graphs and creating multiple output pages and building a map animation. So let's get started with explore interactive GIS, which is 3.1. So I'm gonna open my 3.1 map, open, and so this is what I look at, like United States with states population, thematic map, and all the states have been labeled. I have all the capitals, looks like, of each state, and I also have population by counties and some more information, which is right now zoomed out because we don't have we are not zoomed in enough. Anyways, so as a GIS user, one of your main tasks will be to actually explore data, which will actually promote discovery and analysis. So if you could be anybody, you could be like a sales rep, or you could be working for like a big retailer, or you are just somebody who is actually trying to create youth recreation programs in cities. You could be anyone, but for anybody this would be very useful. So let's click on hyperlink tool, and once I clicked on hyperlink tool, as you can see, all the hyperlinks have been activated and they turn blue in color. So I can go to Texas online portal, or Louisiana, or Mississippi, or Alabama, or Georgia, so on and so forth. So as you already practiced in chapter 2, that's how you get to hyperlinks. So once you get to that, maybe I want to go to actually Pennsylvania, so I'm gonna zoom in to Pennsylvania with my zoom tool, draw a rectangle around it. So now once I zoom in, what I'm finding is I have more cities by population, and more of the cities are popping up right now, and they are labeled at the same time. Maybe here I use my HTML pop-up to click on each one of these cities to actually understand their demographics. So I'm looking for youth population, so I'm looking at age distributions, especially 18 to 21, 22 to 29 probably, or 18 to 21. So this way you can actually explore which cities are actually the ideal location for my next project. So that's how you actually use this data, explore interactive GIS. You can obviously click on identify on any of the stuff. That's obviously Pennsylvania state. So if I want to like identify only cities, I can select cities layer, and I can like click on it. Essentially it's gonna pop up the same information, but not in a HTML pop-up window. We can also do like querying, selection by attributes, which we'll get to a little later. So obviously that's how you use interactive GIS. So that's 3.1. So moving on to 3.2, where you create a map layout. So once I open 3.2 map document, on the main menu, what you need to do is click on view and click on layout view. So as you can see, we switch to a paper layout, and you are looking at how your map will be displayed on a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, which you can control by changing your page size and so on. So anyways, what I'm doing right now is essentially switching between my map view and layout view. As you can see, that's the data view or map view, and this is the layout view. So once I have that, I'm gonna click on change layout because I want to use a predefined layout. So I'm gonna scroll down to there is something called USA, conterminus USA.mxt. I'm gonna use that layout. So I'm gonna use that and click finish. Once I do that, my map is automatically formatted to that particular layout. I'm gonna right click on my population layer and say zoom to layer. So once I do that, I get a much better maybe I can zoom in a little more. Maybe I'll draw my own rectangle around it, so that it's a little, I'm making use of all the page space I have, page real estate. So if you don't see this toolbar, by the way, this one, the layout toolbar, this is how you activate it. Right click on it and select layout, and you can like dock it anywhere you like, and this is the change layout tool that we just used. So that's how you actually use it. I'm gonna change a couple of things here, like the name obviously has to be Asian population by state. Asian population by state in 2007, and then I'm going to like resize this so that I can fit it in a map, and I'm gonna double click on that. I don't think this is legible that much, so I'm gonna go to properties, and I'm going to, actually we can just leave it alone for now. So that's the layout. So I'm going to right click on my we need to save this as a layer file. So how do we do this? Right click on population and click on save as layer file. So I'm gonna go to my SRA press folder, my exercises chapter 3. I'm gonna save this as population layer. States population, well, you can call it Asian states population layer for name. So now what I'm going to do is actually we are asked to save this map as my exercises chapter 3 32, I think 32A, and reopen the map from our maps folder 32. And now what we're going to do is create our own layout, so to speak. So how are we going to do that? So since we already saved the layer file, I'm going to skip that step. I'm going to go back to my layout view, and I'm going to verify layout view options. I'm going to click on customize. I'm going to go to art map options. I'm going to go to layout view, and I'm going to make sure it looks exactly like the picture in the book. So I'm going to make sure there are guides turned on. I don't need the grid. I want inches, and the smallest division could be 0.1 inches. And I'm going to click apply and OK. I'm going to make sure I'm going to go to my page layout. I want a landscape, I don't want a portrait. So click on that. Actually, print and page setup, use paper settings. Once you have that, it's gonna give you a layout view of the same page size, and then I'm going to create and use grid lines. So I'm gonna create some grid lines by just clicking, left clicking around my map by creating like a invisible border, so to speak. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna snap everything to the guidelines, and I'm gonna right click on my population, click on zoom to layer. So once I did that, I'm going to, so as requested, we'll create our own custom layout. So I'm gonna click at 8.5 on the vertical, on the horizontal, and 7.5 here, and then I'm gonna resize the map by right clicking, going to properties of the data frame. I'm gonna go to size and position. I'm gonna make sure preserve ratio aspect is turned on, and type in 7.5 for width. Click OK. Apply, click OK. I'm gonna move this map to the intersection of those two grid lines. I'm gonna right click and say zoom to layer, maybe zoom in a little more by drawing your own zoom rectangle. And then what you can do is insert a title. So how do you do that? Go to insert tab and click on title. So an automatic title has been added, which looks like, if you double click on this element, map element is what it's called, it's a document title. So I'm gonna change that to Asian population 2007 and click OK. I'm gonna increase the size perhaps, and then I'm going to add a legend. Insert a legend, click on next. So we're adding the legend for, I'm gonna go with the defaults for now, and then I'm going to place it right next to the 10.5, and then I'm going to place it right there, and then I'm going to create another guide at 1.5 inches. I'm going to place them at the intersection of those two, and then make sure it's not overlapping. Like press and hold one of these blue placeholders at the end of the legend, and you get like a arrow, cross arrow, and you can resize that to any size you want. So I'm gonna size that proportionally, and then I'm gonna insert a scale bar. I'm gonna go with something like that. And I'm going to right click and go to properties of that and select miles, and make sure miles is my division units, and click on apply and close. OK. So I'm going to move this to the intersection of these two guidelines right here, and I'm going to resize it so that it shows about 1000 miles, like that. So I like that right there. And then what I'm going to do is insert text, as you can see the text is right there. I'm gonna type source u.s. census bureau. I'm gonna move that to the bottom of the page, or maybe somewhere here, and then I'm going to save this document. I'm gonna file, save as, in my exercise folder, chapter 3, I'm gonna call it 3B. So moving on, we have 3.3. So I'm gonna open my 3.3 document. Under maps you'll have 3.3 map document. I'm gonna open that. I'm gonna click and view and switch to data view. I want to switch back to data view. Once you switch back, so we already have Asian population layer that we just used or created. So what we need to do is create one for the black population of 2007. How do we do that and use the same classes again? So since we already saved that as a layer file, I'm going to right click, go to properties of population, and I'm gonna go to symbology and I'm gonna click on import. Once I select import, I can actually zoom to or browse to my exercises, chapter 3, states population layer. I'm gonna select that. I'm gonna click on complete symbology definition, and click OK. So in the field for Asian, instead of Asian, I'm just gonna use my my black population for 2007. I'm gonna click OK. So now I have the same colors and everything that we used for Asians in the previous exercise. So I'm gonna choose a different ramp color. I don't know, maybe something like that. I'm gonna use those and click OK. So the next thing we need to do is save this map as my exercises 3 blacks, and then export the layout as an GS image. So what we need to do is switch to the layout view, and then I'm gonna click on file, export map, and save it as tutorial 3 blacks.jpg. I'm gonna click on save, and I already had it, so I'm just gonna replace that, and then I can close this viewer on my computer window. So that's done. So moving on, that's how you export a map to a custom layout using a custom layout. Now we are going to create a custom map template with 2 maps. So how do we do that? First, reopen your maps folder and double click on tutorial 3.4, and then I'm going to click on full extent here. Since we are creating a map with 2 different data frames or 2 different maps, I'm going to rename each data frame carefully. So I'm going to click on layers, go to properties of the layers, and I'm going to go to general tab and call it Asians, and click apply, and I'm going to go to coordinate system, and then I'm going to click on add to favorites. So once I do that, I can use it again, the USA continuous Albert. We'll talk about this later, but anyways, the projection is important. I'm going to click on OK. So the next step is to set up a layout view. for two maps. So the next step is to add one more data frame. How do you do that? Click on insert and click on data frame. So for the new data frame, I'm gonna right click and go to properties and call it blacks, and then go to coordinate system and use the favorite one we just saved, which is the US contiguous Albert's equal area conic, and click apply and click OK. So the next step is to right click on population in the Asians data frame, and then I'm gonna right click and paste the same layer under the blacks data frame. But we still have the Asian data, so we need to change this to black. So I'm gonna right click, go to properties, I'm gonna click on import again. So states population, but I'm just repeating the same steps as the previous 3-2 exercise, I believe, right? Click on OK and use a different color combination. I'm gonna use reds. Click OK. So once that's done, I have my two maps. So what I need to do is set up the layout. So I'm gonna switch to layout view here. As you can see, we have two different data frames in this map. That's the blacks data frame, and you can notice that once I click on these data frames, the data frame gets highlighted in a way, so it's sort of activated, and it has like a dashed outline around it. So that's how you know which data frame is active and which is not. So what we need to do again is create a simple layout. I'm gonna do my own. I'm gonna create boundaries for this. I'm going to add see, this layout is completely up to you, so I wouldn't worry about exact dimensions. So I'm gonna create a, actually you can so that's how you zoom to both data frames, at the same level. And then what you do is add your text and so on and so forth. If you want, you can make these data frames slightly bigger. I'm gonna make them by like an inch. So you can design your own layout. There are no restrictions on that. So I'm just gonna, and if you don't want a guideline, you right click on it and clear the guideline that you don't want, or you can clear all the guidelines which you don't want to do, or you can move the guidelines anywhere you want. So just don't have like a million guidelines and you won't be able to see anything. And then add legends for each one of these layouts. So I'm just gonna first click on Asians and then insert a legend. Just gonna go with the defaults for now. And then place it right next to the map. And then I'm gonna click on my blacks data frame and I'm gonna click on insert legend. And then I can resize these, obviously, maybe make them a little smaller because they're like way too big right now. So I'm going to and then I'm going to add like a title for the map and change that to Asian and black population 2007. And click apply, and then okay, but you want this text to be sort of like vertical, so I'm gonna click on my drawing toolbar. If you don't have it, just enable it with the draw toolbar, and then click on rotate map element, and then you can rotate it to any angle you want. I'm gonna press and hold shift and then make sure it's straight, and then I'm gonna move it to the side of the map, to the corner of the map, and now I'm good to go. So that's my layout. If you want, you can add, you know, additional text, source, and maybe a north arrow, insert like north arrow, make it fancy if you like. You can do many things, but I'm just gonna leave it here and leave the rest to your imagination. Maybe add a scale bar, so on and so forth. So, and also you can rename these layers. Right click and call it population of Asians, and then call this population of blacks. You know, make it a little more legible and easy to read. And maybe if you want to get rid of the legend, because legend and legend here, calling them out as legends is redundant, so just gonna say don't show it, so that makes it a little cleaner. And that's it. So that's 3-4. What you need to do is just export this as a JPEG or a PDF, your wish, and that's your assignment 3-4. Your tutorial 3-4 is complete. So moving on, 3-5, I'm gonna open my 3-5 document. I'm gonna save changes. So what we need to do to this map is add a report to your layout. So how do we do that? First things first, we need to open the map, and we can save this as whatever we want under our name maybe, and then click on data view. So once we are in data view, open the right click and open the attribute table of population, and then scroll to the left until you see state name. So where is state name? Okay, state name, I see state name, and scroll to the right in the attributes of population to find Asian column. Okay, I find Asian. So what I need to do is put them in the descending order, and then what I want to do is select the top 10 records. I'm gonna select, you have to select the top 10 by clicking on these grayed out little squares right next to the individual rows. Press and hold your left mouse button and keep going till you select top 10. So till you get top 10, that's 8. I'm gonna press and hold control, select 9 and 10 that way. So once I did that, close the attribute table. So these are selected. Click view and go back to layout view or click on layout view right here there. And what I'm going to do is click on view and reports, and I'm going to create a new report. And then in the available fields box, I want to select state name and population of 2000 and Asian population. I want those three fields as my fields in the table on the report. I'm going to click on next. I'm going to go with the basic options here. Sort fields by state name or population, Asian population, descending. I'm gonna click on next, outline option, and I'm gonna go with a Monaco layout. I want to call this report as Asian population report, and I'm going to click on finish. So the report is being generated, and you end up with this report of all the states with the populations of population of 2000 and Asian population. So what you do now, so now we can actually change all this in a way that it's more legible. So if you are actually seeing all the states instead of just the selected dataset, click on this report properties, and here in the dataset options, make sure you have selected set, not all. If you want all, you can go for all, but I'm gonna go with the selected set and click on OK. So once I do that, I can just make sure you have your state, all the fields visible, because that's the width of each row. So make sure that's okay, and then make sure that increase the widths of Asian maybe slightly. If you want, and then let's run the report so far and see how that looks. So that looks good, but we need some maybe 1000. The numbers need to be formatted and the titles need to be edited. So let's do that. I'm gonna click on Asian population and just change it to, like, once you click on that, in the element properties you get this element properties window, and I can change it here, and the state name can be just state, and population 2000 can be just population, and Asian can be Asian. And then what I can do is click on population of 2000 and change the format by clicking on number format here and clicking on these three dotted button and click that as a number, and the decimal places can be 0. Click OK, and do the same thing for Asian by changing the number format to 0 decimal place. So let's see how the report looks like right now. I think that looks okay. So the next thing we need to do is change the indentation on the population and Asian, and if you want to move the fields around, you can do that. And I'm going to click save, and once it's saved, or you can save it anywhere you want, I'm going to run it to see the results. So in order to add this report to the layout, we have to save it first. So let's save this or save as a report.rlf under my exercises. And then what you can do is click on export to file or export to layout, add report to layout. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna say the current page or all pages, since we already only have one. Click OK. So let's see what, and we can close this. So as you can see, the map, the report has been added to the map, and then you can double click or you can actually go back, since this is the entire page that's been added and it's not really, we can't really control any of this individual text elements. I'm going to delete this and I'm going to go back to view, reports, run report. I'm going to run report for the report RLF that I just created. So what I'm going to do is export this as a XLS, and I'm going to save it in my chapter 3 as report. Click OK. So obviously now I can go back to my folder, my exercise folder, and open that table. So once I open that table, I can see my table is actually nicely formatted and it's ready to be copied and pasted to the map. So I'm gonna select all this. Looks like I got an additional field. I can delete it, I can edit it if I want, I can do a couple of things here, but I'm gonna select this and make sure it's left indentation, and I'm gonna select all this stuff. I'm gonna right click on copy, and then you can obviously, you don't need to save this, and go back to the map document and then right click and paste it. So when I selected the Excel table, I should have just selected the state, population and Asian fields, not the title. So I'm just going to select those three. I'm going to copy them by using Ctrl C, go back to my map document, right click and paste or edit and paste. Once I pasted it, I got my table. I'm going to slightly reduce the size so that it's on top. I'm going to right click, go to properties, and I'm going to add a background color to it so that it's white and it's legible. I'm gonna do that, and that's my layout. And what you need to do is save your map document, or if you want you can export this map document as a JPEG or a PDF. So that's how you add a report to your map. So moving on to 3.6, which is adding a graph to your layout. I'm gonna open new map document, which is essentially tutorial 3.6 document under maps, and click open, and now I'm going to create a graph and add it to a layout. So the first step is to I'm going to zoom to the whole page so that I can see it, and then I'm going to click on view, click on graphs, and click on create a graph wizard. So once I have that, I can change obviously the layer field for which we are creating a graph is population, which is this field right here. The value field obviously is Asian, and then I'm gonna have a horizontal graph, and the value field is gonna be Asian, and Y field is optional, which could also be Asian. And then I'm going to click on ascending so that I have my values ascending from from 0 to whatever is the top, which is looks like about 56,000, and then click on the y-axis gonna be state name, and then I'm gonna uncheck add to legend because we already got the legend in a way by using this, and then I'm going to match with layer rectangle, make sure it's a bar size. If you want to increase the size of the graph, you can do that obviously, and then make sure the show border is checked off because you can't see any color if you do that. And then what else? I'm gonna click on next. I'm gonna show all features on records, show the currently highlighted records on as a special feature. So this is great. We already did all this, and make sure the graph legend is checked off, and then click on finish. So once you have that, what you need to do is go back to your population, open attribute table, click on make a selection, select anything. So since we are in Missouri and Illinois is close by, I'm gonna select those two by holding control on your keyboard. So as you can see, those two have been highlighted. So in order to add this map, this is actually a freestanding graph right now. So if you want to add this to the layout, you have to right click and say add to layout. So that's how you add it, and then you can obviously resize it, do some, if you want you can go back to appearance, show only selected features, maybe select apply and OK. So you are showing only certain features on the map, on the chat, not everything, only the selected features. If you want, you can select more, maybe something like that. You can do whatever you want, and then you turn in with, you can export this map as a JPEG and turn your exercise in. So moving on, tutorial 3.7 is creating multiple output pages. 3.7, I'm gonna open 3.7 first. I'm gonna save my work with 3.6, and then so the map document zooms into several municipalities of this county in Pennsylvania, where the map has school locations and public parks. So what we need to do is we need to create a PDF document with map for each municipality, so that they can use it in their create like a map book sort of a thing. So what we need to do is, first thing, we need to go to layout view, and then right click and click on data, right click in an empty area, on the empty gray area on your tool, right next to your toolbars, and make sure you have data driven pages enabled. Okay, once you have that, click on setup, which is the first button, and make sure under the layers you select your layer as municipalities, and then the name field will be name field, and the sorting will be done by the name field too. So I'm gonna select name here, and then click OK. So what we are seeing here is a map of each individual municipality zoomed in so that you can you can see the municipality, the schools and the parks and so on and so forth. So the way to actually browse through these different sets of municipalities by clicking next page. So as you can see, once you click next, you went to the Aspen Walboro municipality, and you see the school and the parks. And you click on the next one, you move to the Evanston Borough, Avalon Borough and Baldwin Borough, and so on and so forth. So that's how you create a data driven page. So you can add dynamic text and data driven page name by actually insert dynamic text in the data driven page name, so that we have the name of the municipality. So I'm gonna do some quick layout elements here, add some quick layout elements so that it doesn't look unfinished. So I'm gonna increase the size of that. And then I'm gonna insert a legend. I don't want I just want schools and parks, so I'm just gonna select these two by holding Control, and I'm gonna remove them. I'm gonna click on next and go with the defaults here. I don't want the legend to show up, so I'm gonna uncheck that. Double click on the title, legend, and uncheck that, or you can go to properties and uncheck the show button on the main tab, which is the general tab. So I'm gonna add it to the map, and I'm gonna insert the scale bar for reference. I'm gonna add it to the map too, move it slightly down, and then that's our layout. So what we need to do here is data driven page name and dynamic text. So what we need to do, right, the next thing we need to do is export this as a set of maps. So I'm going to click on export map, and I'm going to select PDF, and in the format pages, in the pages tab, I'm going to select all 134 pages, and I'm going to select export this as tutorial 3.7 and see what happens. It's going to export all 134 municipalities into one PDF document with each municipality zoomed in and its name at the top, and a simple legend and a scale bar. So that's how you create a data-driven page, data-driven pages, and export them as a map book sort of a thing. So I'm going to go back to my folder and see that I have, so as you can see, all my municipalities have been created, and of course you can clean this up, add some more dynamic elements if you want, but and if you want to export only certain pages, you can export them by actually go to pages, and the pages you can you can select the pages you want by typing in the page numbers. So there are other things you can do which I'll let you explore. So that's 3.7. let's move on to the last one, which is 3.8. so I'm gonna open map document 3.8, and in this we'll actually build a map animation. How do we do that? So the first thing to do is go to the cat calls properties, and then I'm going to my time tab, and I'm gonna enable time on this layer, and I'm gonna use call date, and the step interval would be 1 day for me, and then I'm gonna make sure that the data changes frequently, so calculate the time extent automatically, and I'm gonna click on calculate, and the next thing I want to do is time zone is actually Eastern time, so I'm gonna select Eastern time US Canada, and the values are just for daylight saving, and time offset is fine. I'm gonna click on apply, click on OK. So once I did that, I need to go and enable my so I'm going to click on my time slider toolbar by clicking here on the tools, and now once I actually keep moving my the slider, you can see what crimes have been committed on that day, so to speak. But what we are looking for is like a cumulative, probably, maybe. So I'm gonna click on options, and I'm gonna go to playback and click on maybe reduce the speed, and then click on OK. So I'm gonna click on, let's move this back, and what I'm going to do is click on play. So as you can see, for each day it's sort of showing me what crimes have been committed that day. So that's great. So the next thing we can do is create a new column for animating a window of crime points. So what we need to do is right click on cat calls context and go to open attribute table, and I'm gonna add a new field and call it end date. And select date as your type, and I'm gonna click OK. So once I have that, I'm gonna right click on the column heading end date. I'm gonna calculate, I'm gonna go to field calculator, and I'm gonna double click call date here and use plus 14 for end dates expression. So what we are trying to do is since the case closes in 14 days, so we are creating sort of like an end date for this. So the call date is so and so plus 14 would give us the end date for that call. So I'm going to click OK here and let it calculate. So once I did that, I'm gonna go back to my right click on cat calls and then I'm gonna go to my time field, enable time on this layer, and I'm gonna go call date. I'm gonna select the second option, which is where each field has start and end time, and make sure those two are selected. And then I'm going to calculate number of days as 1 day, 1 day, and then I'm going to click on time zone again, Eastern. I'm going to click on values adjusted, click on apply. Okay, so I'm going to turn my CAD layer off, cat calls, and turn my cat calls context layer on, and now I'm going to go back and click on so click on play again. So as you can see, now you have sort of like a cumulative accumulation of calls and when they end, sort of a thing. So you can see when the call started and call ended, which is after 14 days. So that's how you create an animation. So you can obviously save your work here, and turn your and work on your assignments 3.1 and 3.2 as part of your this week's assignment. Thank you so much for watching.